Hey, what's up, landlords? I want to tell you what it means to be a desktop real estate investor. And if you're a desktop real estate investor, it's extremely comfortable. I'm going to tell you, I am a desktop real estate investor. What is it and why do you need to be a desktop real estate investor? Desktop real estate investor is someone who invests in real estate, specifically BRRRR. Like, that's where it really gets sexy. If you're BRRRRing from your desktop, you're not going into your properties, you're not swinging a hammer to the nail, you're not going in there in dust sites and rehab sites, you're not doing any of that. You're orchestrating everything from your desktop. Why is it important to you? Because COVID is here to stay. Most likely you are working from home or some hybrid, but you might have some down moments. You might have an hour before, an hour after. Why not run your real estate portfolio right from your desktop without actually going to your properties? Yes, it sounds amazing. So this is how you're going to take your W-2 to real estate. Before we get into this story, I want you to go to the description. I have a freebie for you. It is a copy of my book, The Real Estate John. This ebook, I want to give it to you for free. It gives you step-by-step guide on how to invest in real estate from your desktop. Go and grab a free copy of that. Also, make sure you subscribe to this channel. I want you to hear this story of one of our members of the Better Than Success Real Estate League. This is Kyle. He is a desktop real estate investor, and I want you to hear how he does it. Enjoy Kyle's story, and I want you to think about how you can mimic what he has done to invest in real estate right from his desktop.
What helped me to learn about real estate, my wife and I, we actually own a bakery, and we have an accountant. And our accountant we were speaking with, and she explained to us, hey Kyle, I think you might want to get into real estate, and I have a really good organization that you might want to come and take a look at. I was like, okay, cool, what's the name of it? She said, it's BTS. They have meetings, and you can come to one of the meetings and take a listen to see if it's something that you will want to get into. Came to one of the meetings, I realized, hey, the biggest part about BTS was the knowledge and the wisdom that they give you. I'm a numbers guy. I actually went to school for engineering, so I'm very, tell me what to do, how to do, we format it, we do it, and we execute. That's kind of how BTS was for me. They said, well, if you do A, B, and C, you get the results. I said, okay, well, let me go out and do A, let me go out and do B, let me go out and do C, and I should see some results. And that's exactly what happened. I always knew that real estate was a way of creating wealth, but it was never anything that I was 100%. This is what I want to do with my life. By most standards, I have a pretty decent job. Most people would say, oh wow, you're doing pretty well, you're pretty successful. But one of the things that I found out is, with that decent job, once I pass, I can't leave that decent job to my wife or to my kids. So when talking to friends and family, they always said, hey, real estate is a way in which you can make some wealth, create income that you can leave to your family. So I said, well, let me get into that. Let me take some of the resources that I have set aside, invest that into something that once I'm gone, once this job is gone, it can be left on to the next generation. One of the best things that I learned at BTS was something called a BRRRR system. And they explained what you would do is you would buy a piece of real estate, you would renovate it, you would rent it out, and you would refinance, and then you repeat the process. That's what the BRRRR method stands for. So they said, okay, to buy your first piece of real estate, you need to have X amount of dollars saved up. So I was like, well, let me get that X amount of dollars saved up. They said, you need to have an LLC. My wife and I already had an LLC from the bakery. And then they said, this is how you go about finding properties. You can meet through realtors, wholesalers, other people that were part of BTS. And I started networking. I'm pretty good at that. So I would talk to a lot of people and they would say, oh yeah, I have a property for sale. I took that process, brought the property, renovated, rehabbed it, refinanced it. And I said, okay, I can do this. So I set a goal of, okay, how many properties would I want to leave my family? I said, I want to leave them 10 properties. So we just finished our 3rd property. I got 7 more to go. Once I hit that goal, then I'll reevaluate and say, do I want another 10? What do I want to do next? Am I done? Do I want to go off and do something else? But that's what I'm focused on right now, getting a total of 10 properties within the next 3 years. There was a light bulb moment when a good friend of mine, a vice president at a company, lost his job. Then he realized, man, what am I going to do? I no longer have that W-2 income that I'm used to. And it made me think, okay, if I lose my job, what am I going to do? So that's when I started looking into real estate. I would say maybe 2 to 3 hours a week when I don't have a property that I'm in the process of working. And that's usually just getting more knowledge, more information, kind of looking through the neighborhood, seeing what may be available. But when I'm actively working on a project, I'd say about 10 to 15 hours a week, I'm investing something, either working with contractors, going to the property, surveying, picking out materials, things of that nature. But I made it to the point where I would probably do 2 properties a year, maybe 3, because I give myself 3 to 4 months per property. My properties are in the city of Philadelphia. They're in areas that I know. They are in Southwest Philadelphia, where I actually grew up, and Northeast Philadelphia, where my wife and I used to live early part of our marriage. One of the things that I learned here at BTS is go where you know. Don't try to chase the hot spot. Ooh, this is the new hot area, try to get into that. The reason I don't do that is because this isn't my primary function, real estate. So I don't want to have to compete with the big sharks, the big lions that are in real estate full-time. They're going to go to the hot spots. They're going to have the deeper pockets. I don't know those areas, so I go where I know. Make sure that you feel comfortable in the area in which you're working. Because again, my goal for real estate, it's not so much about me, it's about what am I leaving my daughters. So I want to get properties that are in areas that I would feel safe going into in Philadelphia. Because if they have to go into them, I want to know, hey, they're fine going into certain neighborhoods. Even if they had a property manager, at some point they're going to have to go and check on the property themselves. I want it to be in an area that they feel comfortable in going. So we usually look for single families, 3 bedrooms, about 1,200 square feet to 2,000 square feet with a basement. If it fits that criteria, and on a nice block. You want to be on a nice block where there's parking, maybe a garage in the back. Again, amenities that if we were to live here, would we be happy? So that's what we look for when we look for our properties. One of the things that we do when it comes to real estate and spotting trends is, are the areas that we're investing in, is there new construction going around? Are the properties staying stagnant? Is the neighborhood changing for the worse? There's, again, certain areas that we kind of know. There's certain areas that I'm very familiar with, areas that I grew up in the city. And I kind of know what it's been like over the past 10, 20, 30 years. So I pay attention, and is it still the same as when I was younger? Are these areas still the same 5 years ago? Are we starting to sense some change? Because again, I try to stay where I know. I don't try to chase the new hot up and coming neighborhoods, because again, I'm not a full-time investor. So again, I stay where I know because I know or can sense the changes in those areas. The advice I would give real estate investors just starting out is figure out what you want to do, because there's so many different facets of real estate. Do you want to be an investor? Do you want to be a wholesaler? Do you want to do single families? Do you want to do multifamilies? Do you want to do large apartment buildings? Figure out what your niche is and what you want to focus on, because it all requires a different sense of focus. You know, do you just want to flip properties, or do you want to buy and hold properties? Determine what you want to do and focus on that. I think the biggest value that Better Than Success provides those who join is you're now around people who are doing the things that you want to do. And I think to be successful in anything, you need to surround yourself with someone who's either doing or did the thing that you want to do, so that you can see, oh, there's a possibility. So if I could just sit down at your feet and learn from you, I can possibly do it too. One of my favorite quotes is something that came from my grandmother. She said, Kyle, the world is not one size fits all. And that keeps me open to the fact that people will think different than me, people will act different than me, and people are just different from me. So I can't expect everybody to think or act the way that I do. So that helps me to stay focused on the fact that when they say something different, I can't get upset. If they say something I don't agree with, I can't get upset because I know people are different and their differences may work best for them. But then it also gives me a greater perspective as to, oh, I never looked at it that way. So another thing that I always remember her telling me was the number 9 and the number 6, they could both look the same depending on how you look at it. So you may see a 9 and I see a 6, but it's just based on our perspectives that makes them different. I think when you look to find your purpose, there's 4 things that kind of help you figure out what your purpose is. 1, is it something that you love to do? 2, is it something that you're good at doing? 3, is it something that the world needs? And 4, can you get paid for it? If you can put all those things together, I think you're kind of honing in on your purpose. For me, example, I love to, outside of real estate, I love being creative. I love making websites, I love doing video production. Am I good at it? Yes. Do I love doing it? Yes. Is there a need for it? Yes, there is. And do I get paid for it? Yes. So I have all 4 of those things coming together that's kind of helping me zoom in on my purpose. One of my most inspirational books that I've read is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And it just shows you how to interact with people, because no matter what you do in life, it's always people first. You always have to deal with a person in some aspect, no matter if it's real estate, no matter if it's the bakery business, no matter if it's just dealing with your children. You need to learn how to interact with people. And I think that's one of the best books I've ever read on how to deal with people. One of the things that the book starts off with, never complain, condemn, or criticize. If you lead with that makes you such a better person to be around and deal with. Who wants to hear people complain? Who wants to be condemned with their way of thinking? And who wants to be criticized? If you could remove that, people have already like, hey, you're fun to be around.
All right, I know, isn't that story so amazing? I love Kyle, he is awesome. You might be like, hey, I want to join a Better Than Success Real Estate League. Currently, our doors are closed. We can no longer have any new members. Our doors are closed to new members. We are servicing our existing members because we have a tried and true formula of how to get members to invest in real estate. But I want you to get on the wait list. There's going to be a link down below for you to get on the wait list for when we open our doors again, when that does happen. You want to be like Kyle and build your real estate portfolio while working your 9-to-5 and also having a side business, I want you to get on the wait list. Go right to the description, get on the wait list. Also down here, don't forget, is your free copy of the Real Estate Journal, an ebook that's going to change your life. So enjoy, and until next time, you guys, make a bunch of money. Mwah.